Susie, we ready? All right, good morning, folks. We're on the record in Taylor Circuit Court, criminal action number 24 CR 80, Commonwealth of Kentucky versus Charles Ezekiel Escalera. Mr. Escalera is present in the courtroom with his attorney, Mr. Brad Sheffett. We have the Assistant Commonwealth Attorney Angie Call here on behalf of the Commonwealth. We are on today for sentencing in this matter. Mr. Escalera, on June 28th, 2026, you entered a guilty plea to the charge of murder, and the Commonwealth recommended a sentence of 40 years at that time. Do you remember entering that plea, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you understand that if I had rejected that plea, you would have been permitted to withdraw your plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Sheffett, on behalf of your client, have you had an opportunity to review the PSI that was produced in this case?
We have, Your Honor, and there are a few things I want to make note of. The most important of which is on the first page, the arrest date is listed as April 23rd, 24, and I believe that was probably February 24th, 24. And for that reason, the number which they give, 858, is incorrect. I believe the correct number is 887. And I just want to make sure that is corrected. They just started at the wrong point.
So I also presided over, there was an attendant Greene County action that involved the arrest of Mr. Escalera over in a barn, I believe, over in Greene County, and I checked the dates on that. The arrest date on that charge was February 24th, 2024. Mr. Escalera has been in custody continuously since then. So the PSI will be amended to reflect that date of arrest, and he'll get credit for time served from the date of his arrest.
And Judge, I would like to also request the court to make the KCPC report that is my understanding is sealed in the record now. I'd like that to be part of his DLC record.
Okay.
I don't know whether the correct way to do that is to incorporate it into the PSI or if there's some other avenue to do that within the Department of Corrections. I just would like that Department of Corrections to be aware of that.
Just call any objection to allowing the KCPC report to be made a part of Mr. Escalera's DOC record.
No.
Okay. Well, I can't say that I've ever had that request before, Mr. Sheffett, but I think there's a way to effectuate that. We'll make sure that takes place. All right. Other than those two issues, Mr. Sheffett, any other issues that you or your client have with the PSI as it has been generated?
Judge, I think there is, regarding again, this is a minor point in the big scheme of things, but the education level is noted, I think it's high school, and although he did not complete college, he has some college credits at various institutions. So I guess that's worth noting. And other than that, I don't think there's anything to note.
Okay. Ms. Call, on behalf of the Commonwealth, any objections or any issues that you've had with the PSI in this case?
No, sir.
All right. Before the court proceeds further with this matter, Kentucky law provides the victim's family an opportunity to be heard at these proceedings. I know that we have Ms. Letitia Newton here from the Victims Advocates Office at the Commonwealth Attorney. We may also have some family members. I would ask that anyone who intends to address the court to come forward at this point and introduce yourself, and we can proceed. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
If you would, state your name for me.
Paul Brown.
And Mr. Brown, what is your relationship to the victim of the family here?
I'm the cousin. His father, Joe, and I grew up together as first cousins.
Mr. Brown, the floor is yours. Take whatever time you need.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. I have two statements here to read. I'm going to start out with mine, and then I'll read Joe Kilman's statement as well. Just bear with me, please. Your Honorable Judge, my name is Paul Brown. I'm a retired Assistant Fire Chief in Pickle, Ohio, and a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. My wife, Elaine Brown, and I are submitting this victim impact statement on behalf of our beloved cousin, Josiah Kilman. Josiah was attending Campbellsville Christian College and was murdered. He was deeply loved as a son, brother, cousin, friend, teammate, and valued member of his community in Columbia Falls, Montana. Most importantly, he was a devoted Christian who was always studying and sharing the Word of God. His smile could light up any room and brought warmth to everyone around him. I can still picture him as a child, smiling and laughing while riding in a fire truck with me. Those memories are priceless and will stay with me forever. Josiah's murder has profoundly affected his family, friends, and everyone who had the privilege of knowing him. The ripple effects of this tragedy has caused immeasurable emotional pain and lasting heartache. Parents should never have to bury their child, nor should any family lose anyone so full of purpose to such a senseless act of violence. As a father, I cannot imagine the pain of never seeing Josiah grow into a man he was becoming, fulfilling his dreams, raise a family, continuing serving his community, and above all, continuing to serve Jesus Christ. The individual convicted of murdering Josiah should never again experience the freedom that he stole from Josiah. He should be held accountable for the rest of his life for intentionally taking an innocent life. Throughout my service in the Marine Corps and career in the fire service, I have witnessed acts of violence and tragedy. I've also witnessed those responsible for being held accountable for their actions. I respectfully ask the court to impose the maximum sentence allowed by law, not out of anger or malice, but because it reflects the seriousness of this crime, honors Josiah's life, and protects others from someone capable of such violence. In closing, I ask the court to remember that Joe and Jessica Kilman, along with our entire family, will never see their son again. They will carry this unimaginable loss and heartbreaking pain every second and every day for the rest of their lives. While no sentence can restore what has been taken from us, I respectfully ask that justice be fully and faithfully served. Respectfully, Paul and Elaine Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Now, on behalf of Mr. Kilman's father.
On behalf of Joe Kilman, Josiah's father. Once again, please be bear with me. Your Honor, my name is Joseph David Kilman. I am the father of Josiah Malachi Kilman, the 18-year-old who was strangled to death by Charles Ezekiel Escalera on February 23rd, 2024. I will not attempt to burden this court with words that cannot possibly capture the devastation of having your child murdered. There is no language strong enough, no description sufficient to convey what has been taken from us. I could speak about the business I was forced to close because of the weight of the loss made it impossible to continue. I could describe the emotional and mental toll that has reshaped every part of our lives. I can tell you about the sadness, the anger, and the fear that now accompany me each day. Things I had never known in more than 40 years before Josiah was taken from us. But today, I choose to let others speak. Before you is a collection of letters and emails from those who knew and loved Josiah, friends, families, coaches, teachers, classmates, and members of our community felt compelled to write because they wanted this court to truly understand who Josiah was and what has been lost. These voices do more than describe the grief our family continues to endure. They bear witness to a loss that extends far beyond us. They reflect the abuse felt across an entire community. They show the countless lives Josiah touched throughout his kindness, his character, his faith, and his presence. I ask that you hear these voices as though each of them were standing before you today. I ask that they be considered alongside my own, as they speak more powerfully than I ever could about the depth of this loss and the enduring impact of the life that was violently taken from us. Your Honor, I respectfully ask that the sentence imposed reflect not only the severity of the crime, but also the value of the life that was stolen. The lasting harm inflicting on so many, and the need to protect others from future acts of violence. Thank you for your time, your careful consideration, and your responsibility you carry in administering justice. Respectfully, Joe D. Kilman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Ms. Newton, was there an additional statement you'd like to read?
Yes, Judge. This is on behalf of JoJo's mom, Jessica Kilman. I'm going to tell you a story about my son, Josiah Malachi Kilman. There once was a little boy who was so excited to be born that he showed up 3 weeks early. It was Thursday, August the 25th, 2005 at 3:51 in the afternoon. The moment I looked into those big green eyes, I fell in love, along with everyone who crossed his path. At just 3 years old, he learned to ride his bike because he had 3 older siblings to keep up with, and there was no way he was going to be left behind. At 4, he would play outside and insisted on wearing full 3-piece suits in the middle of a Texas summer because he wanted to look nice. When he moved to Montana at age 6, his love for sports really took off. He played baseball and became one of the best catchers, known for chasing runners back to base. Summers were spent riding his bike through town, swimming at the city pool, and making lifelong friends. As he grew into his teens, he fell in love with everything about the 90s. He carried a Polaroid camera everywhere he went, capturing moments that most people would have let pass by. His passion for music grew. His genre had just about everything you can imagine, ranging from Elvis to Kanye to Zach Bryan. He even snuck into his last Montana concert. He was determined to swing dance for the first time. He did just that in a country field, kicking up dust, surrounded by headlights with a complete stranger. His high school years felt like something out of a movie, filled with baseball games, fishing, rafting, dances, camping trips, multiple tournaments, and soccer games. He took state in soccer and 4th in wrestling his senior year. He loved fight nights at home. He could binge watch 90s television and movies while eating cereal wrapped up in his blankets for hours. He enjoyed shows like Gilmore Girls and Boy Meets World, along with classic movies like Fools Rush In and Can't Buy Me Love. He was a hopeless romantic. He also loved playing the guitar and piano, and there was no way to leave out his video games. More than anything, he loved Jesus. The passion and commitment he carried for his church and helping with youth group was inspiring to see. He was never afraid to share his faith. And by his freshman year, he had recruited 7 boys to Bible camp. He even had a beautiful high school love story. Then, almost overnight, towards the end of senior year on a whim, he decided he wanted to go to college. He knew he wanted a Christian school, and Campbellsville, Kentucky became the choice. At just 17 years old, he packed everything he owned into his '98 Toyota Camry and drove 1,976 miles across the country. Before he left, he asked for a Polaroid picture of himself heading off to college so one day he could show it to his kids and grandkids. He laughed and said that holding his pillow in the picture would make it classic, pretending he was in the 90s. 2 weeks later, he turned 18, alone in a brand new state with no family nearby. He'd always been a social butterfly, so he wasn't really alone. He found a new family in Campbellsville. His roots shined through, and he fell in love with the South and the people. He shared stories about all the fun things he was doing. He loved his life. He came home for what felt like the blink of an eye during Hanukkah. We took family pictures, and he shared that he had started writing poetry. I remember reading some of his works and thinking how beautiful his heart showed through his words. He had grown up so much in just 4 months of college. The week was up, and he went back to school. And then he was gone. Every moment I've shared plays over and over in my mind. I replay his life every single day, and I always will. Because every chapter of his story, every laugh, every adventure, every dream, every moment is one of my favorites. And his memories are all that I have left. Thank you.
Mr. Brown, on behalf of the court, thank you for the words that you've shared today, both on your own and on behalf of Josiah's dad, Ms. Newton. Thank you for sharing the words from his mother. I want to thank everyone who participated in this process. I received more than 30 letters, emails.
61,
Yeah, the first email, the first batch was 30, and I quit counting, but I kept reading, and I read every one of them. I appreciate the family's participation in this process and the friends' participation in this process. It required tremendous strength. For those members of the family who participated in this mediation process that brought this case to a resolution, I thank you for your thoughtful consideration for the difficult decisions that were involved. And I also recognize that the resolution that we are to announce today is not going to be completely satisfying. No one can restore what has been taken from you or to fully measure the value of Josiah's life. But please know that the court has carefully considered your views, your participation, and the impact that you've had, that this crime has had on your family. Your dignity throughout this process has not gone unnoticed. Ms. Call, anything else on behalf of the Commonwealth here today?
Judge, I know that the court has already stated this, but we did submit to the court, and the court has advised that he has read all of those. We did submit 61, I believe, victim impact statements for the court's consideration on sentencing today. 3 of those 61, the court heard here in the courtroom. The Commonwealth, in reaching the agreement, considered all of the evidence in this case, all of the statements and evidence in the case before reaching a resolution.
Thank you, Ms. Call. Mr. Escalera, before I impose the sentence here today, you have the right to address the court. My understanding is you have some prepared remarks. The court would consider those now at this time.
To the parents, brothers and sisters, to the grandparents, and to all the friends and family of Josiah, there are no words I can say to even help comfort or give any ease to all the heartache. If I could trade in places, I would in the blink of an eye. If I could just go back to that oh so terrible day and do things so differently. I ask God every day over and over to forgive me and for him to help all of Josiah's good family to forgive me and to help ease their pain.
Mr. Shepard, anything else on behalf of Mr. Escalera?
Nothing further, Judge.
Mr. Escalera, I appreciate the words that you've shared today. Please understand that I've considered those. I've also considered the PSI, the various aspects of this case that have been brought to my attention through the 2 years that I've presided over this matter, 2.5, I guess, and all the statements made here today. It's my estimation, Mr. Escalera, that the events that occurred that gave rise to these charges occurred during what must have been a profound mental health crisis. And while that does not excuse your conduct, it does provide some important context as to what happened here. You have no prior history of violent criminal conduct, and since your incarceration, you have accepted treatment, you've remained compliant with medication that has been prescribed to you, and you have been, by all counts, a model prisoner. In my judgment, the person standing before the court today is markedly different from the individual who committed the offense while suffering from an untreated mental health crisis. That progress deserves recognition. It demonstrates meaningful rehabilitation. However, rehabilitation does not erase accountability. Murder is the most serious offense recognized under our law. Josiah Kilman's death has forever changed the lives of those who loved him. After weighing all of these factors, I have concluded that the negotiated sentence fairly balances your rehabilitation with the extraordinary seriousness of this offense. Mr. Escalera, if you'll please rise. I have considered the negotiated plea agreement, the pre-sentence investigation, the arguments of counsel, victims' family statements, the statements of the defendant, and all matters properly before the court. I will again note that this resolution resulted from a mediation in which the victim's family participated and ultimately consented. Mr. Escalera, I judge you guilty of murder. Under Kentucky law, you are not eligible for probation. It is therefore the judgment of this court that you are sentenced to 40 years in the custody of the Kentucky Department of Corrections with credit for time served from your arrest. You will be eligible for parole consideration after serving 20 years, subject to the authority and the discretion of the Kentucky Parole Board. The court will prepare judgment consistent with this ruling. And that will conclude our business here today. Thank you all very much for your time. I appreciate your attendance. The court stands adjourned.